ThunderCats!
Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
Hey, how are you? I'm Larry Kenny, the voice of Lynx-O, here today for my good friends Ryan and David. You may know if you listen to the podcast Radical Retro Rewind.
I love it. All of it.
Radical Retro Remix.
She even looks older.
Likes my art collection?
Yeah, we've heard that one before, Mummy.
What is it? I heard him shout.
Oh yeah, ThunderCats! Ho!
Who you calling a hoe? Welcome back, Bunglers, to another episode of ThunderCats Reviews, brought to you by the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. As always, I am your host, Radical Ryan Hunter, here with everyone's favorite brother, David. Hello. And guess what? We also have Zack back again with these two fantastic, fun episodes ahead of us.
You can't keep me away.
We wouldn't want to. We wouldn't want you to stay away.
Exactly,
David. Exactly. Don't stay away.
And the Bunglers love you. I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
In the lineup, I had asked Zack, ahead of time, if there's a certain few episodes he wanted to do for the remainder. We have season 2, we have season 3 and 4. The way it worked out was we got Zack back again for these episodes. I love it. It's going to elevate everything. And was it one or the other that you wanted to do that just so happened to coincide with the double? Or was it actually Together We Stand and Ravage Island as the two-piece?
That's a good question. Definitely Together We Stand. And yeah, I think both. We'll talk about it more, but I really enjoy both of them for different reasons. So I'm excited to talk about them.
So let's start with Together We Stand, which is season 2, episode 10, with the original air date of September 18th of 1987. Mumm-Ra summons Hammerhand and the Berserkers to his pyramid, forces them into his bubbling cauldron. When they emerge, they are covered in Thundrainium and set out to capture the ThunderCats. Oh, he did kind of throw them in, actually, so he did force them.
Yeah, he throws Top Spinner in. Poor Top Spinner, just doesn't have a choice. But he ends up I think he ends up appreciating it. They're very hesitant. They don't want to take a bath.
I took one 10 years ago. That's all I need. It's tough on the sea, fresh water, not salt water. And David, we saw the last time that the Berserkers were here. Zack was, a matter of fact, here. He was a witness to this. They went down again with the ship. Again. They were killed yet again.
That was the bath.
That was the bath.
That was the bath they took.
You're right, because when they were like, that was 2 months ago, you're like, was that episode 2 months ago? Hold on. Yep. I'm just saying, when you go to the ocean and your hair gets the salty water and it just does something, makes it look so nice and the sun hits it. I still haven't had that happen, so I'm waiting for my salty, nice hair. But anyway, I wrote another day, another Cheetara vision, head grabbing. Oh.
The drama. The drama of this opening scene.
I have notes too.
Cheetara, what's wrong?
I don't know. My sixth sense. Something's happening.
There's nothing on the screens. Everything seems normal.
No, it can't be. So evil.
I'm gonna step in. I want your reaction, and then I'll give you my reaction. Picture it. Cat's Lair, 1986. An opening. Cheetara sitting at a console. Go, Zack. I felt like Lynn Lipton just came in this room right now.
It's like, big vocal gymnastics. She's in pain. She's out of control. And Lynx-O walks in and he's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Everything is normal. Nothing is wrong. And she's like, no, it can't be.
Not again. He's like, is there a big book? So I put Oh my god, has anyone seen that book?
Cheetara's Gynomastia intuition is coming to her, and I said, I just picture she's at the table, the console, and of course, Mumm-Ra has sent another complaint letter from the HOA, and she's just throwing herself on the table because she's getting fined again by the HOA. Oh god, again! I can't keep paying fines monthly.
Holding her head in her hands.
Price of gold has gone up, and I can't afford it.
So they're used to this. As a matter of fact, this season, we are used to this at this point. It's so matter of fact now that Lion-O just kind of like takes her head off the console table and just lifts her up. And she says this line, which is absolutely amazing. It was like a bomb going off on my head. And the way she just says it was just like, that's it. It was like a bomb that went off on my head.
Cheetara, are you okay?
It was like a bomb going off in my head.
Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight. You're right. There is something out there. But whatever it is, not even the Eye of Thundera can see into it.
It's like the worst migraine of all time.
I was gonna say, she needs a little something.
I do love this because it literally cues what does our Lord of the Thundercats actually do. He does sight beyond sight, which I appreciate. We're just getting to it. He's not gonna wait around. He's not gonna just see if Jaga appears. He goes right for sight beyond sight. But of course, something is blocking. What would you say? It looks like a red glittery band around some kind of like static TV.
It's like some sort of like a staticky TV, like a force field. Yeah. We also go to the Tower of Omens, and Lynx-O is going through the same thing. He's like, there's something very wrong. And Bengali is like, there's what? Give me more information.
That's strange. I can feel dark powers, but the Braille board tells me nothing of them. Bengali, can you see anything out of the ordinary?
No, but I trust your feelings, Lynx-O. I'll call Pumyra, and we'll take a look around.
He's like, Cheetara just told me she got another letter from the HOA.
But isn't it hysterical that this is what both sets of Thundercats are dealing with? This is weekly now. It's Lynx-O is sensing something, and Cheetara is sensing something, and they both have to go, what is happening?
Isn't it nice, though, to have somebody so you don't get looked at like you're totally insane? Although they never communicate with each other. They never actually say. Lynx-O's never like, Cheetara, by the way, I know that splitting headache that you threw yourself across the console in the control room. I'm feeling it too, but I'm just a little more reserved about it.
Well, we don't even see her again. She just goes down for a nap and she sleeps through the whole rest of the episode. So they don't even have a chance to chat with each other. She's just out.
That was something, Zack, that I noticed as well, and I wonder if that was. I mean, it's a great setup.
Yet we have no mind power from our great architect. Never senses anything. What's up with that?
Tigra is in this episode.
I never see Tigra go, oh, I've been saving it up for the next Lord of the Thundercats.
Let's hope not soon. Cheetara goes down for a nap, and then, of course, we have to go to Mumm-Ra, because what's going on? It has to deal with our beautiful mummy. So, he seeks an alliance. Did I write this to plunder the high seas?
Yeah, so the Berserkers have been summoned. They're just like walking up through the desert. The way he entices them to help him is he says he seeks an alliance to plunder the high seas. He's like, it's basically gold, but they're in their like pirate. They're very piratey in this episode.
What would you be wanting of us, Mumm-Ra? I seek an alliance to plunder the high seas of Third Earth. But first, we must remove the ThunderCats. Your part will be to capture their accursed Tower of Omens, and I shall give your armaments the power you need to accomplish the task.
They get so excited, they all shout, plunder and booty, plunder and booty.
Get that booty.
I've been known to do that sometimes, back in the day at the club.
I enjoy Pirate Booty the snack. You know, I haven't had it in years, but it is a very nice, snack.
Trader Joe's also makes a really good version of it. Just so you know, Trader Joe's, our new sponsor. Just putting it out there. I'm actually drinking one of their sparkling drinks as well today.
My God. And it's wrapped in mummy bandages. It's the new Mumm-Ra edition. Mumm-Ra is walking back and forth. He normally does this, right? But this time I wrote it's with like a beer stein.
You put beer stein?
I mean, because that was a trophy.
No, I put Mumm-Ra called on the ancient spirits evil to give him Sailor Moon's chalice.
Oh, because he... yeah, honestly.
Super Moon Crisis Power!
It's very fancy. It's like a vase.
Or like an urn. Yeah. He gives this big soliloquy, this grand speech about how he needs their help to destroy the ThunderCats. He needs their power, and they just give him a jar.
Yes, that's right. It's a beautiful jar. Antique Roadshow would appreciate that.
It's Elizabeth Taylor. Take these. They've always brought me luck.
But don't you know, it does not last long because Mumm-Ra, we mentioned the cauldron, Mumm-Ra throws the beautiful, beautiful urn into the cauldron.
Kaboom!
Kaboom! Kaboom!
A quick dip in the magical cauldron will coat your weapons with Thundrainium, the mystical metal that renders the ThunderCats powerless.
No, thanks. I had a bath 2 months ago. 2 months ago.
Aye.
So I always assumed that the cauldron was warm and bubbling. But is a bubbling cauldron just a bubbling cauldron?
You think it was hot?
I always felt it was hot.
I thought he was getting cooked for a moment, honestly, when he first threw him in. I thought I was like, oh God, is he burning up in there? And then also the depth perception. Like, does Mumm-Ra...
Oh, forget it. Yeah.
When he's using his magic, does he... Because, things have come out of that cauldron, gone back in. Is it only like a foot deep when he's really not doing anything with it? When he's just looking
inch of water?
When he's just looking at the ThunderCats, he's like, it's just for show. He's like, I'm not wasting any more water. It's hard to get it up into the pyramid.
It's just a kiddie pool.
That's what I assumed, though. But I think it's magical. The depth is magical, let's just say, I think. It's as deep as you need it to be.
There are episodes later in Season 3 where we get to see... Well, there's one episode in Season 3 where you see that it's like connected to a larger waterway. And then there's another episode where it gets destroyed and there's like a portal in it. So yeah,
He's got an adventure ride there. He's got great adventure. He's got Disneyland. He's like the Pirates of the Caribbean tour with the Berserkers.
Oh my God, yeah, go into my gondola and around the pyramid. I would love that. Basically, to sum up this section, Mumm-Ra uses this urn to infuse their armor with Thundrainium, and it turns everything red. So yes, like Zack said, Top Spinner goes first. Whoosh, into the cauldron, and he gets dipped into this red armor, matter of fact. Could this have been... Are you okay with the red coloring tint? You didn't need it to be like a souped up armor. Were you okay with the red tint showing that it was Thundrainium?
That's a great question. As a kid, I think maybe I was slightly confused. Well, I remember as a kid getting so used to the way they looked in that red armor that when spoiler alert, when it gets rubbed off later.
Literally, okay, they did say rub off, right,
yes,
Zack? It is rubbed.
Maybe we can rub it off them. Follow me into a tight bank.
I thought I was hearing things again.
When it does get rubbed off, they looked funny to me. But maybe that's not. I don't know what that means.
That could have been a great time for them to make toys with new armor for the Berserker line.
Even just color them.
The Thundrainium armor line of Berserkers.
That's a good idea. Super 7, are you listening?
Hint, hint. Box set collection.
Okay, so the gang is all together. Mumm-Ra has gathered the Berserkers, and he is now going to get the ThunderCats once and for all. Let me tell you. This is it. This is going to be the plan.
Yeah, he's sending them to take down... At first, you think it's just a general, like, go attack them. But no, this is about the accursed forts. It's about the tower and the lair and, how they're just defacing his planet,
not
not following the rules of the HOA. So step 1, take down the tower, and he's sending the Berserkers to do that.
And then he also sends Mama to go get Luna.
Yes.
Notice, by the way, no mention of the mutants until our next episode. I was so happy to see them, but I feel like there was a chance to get the mutants involved. This is, again, let's do the Captain Shiner plot. Let's get so many people involved in this plot that there is no way that this could fail.
It's actually a really good plan because the Tower of Omens is the weaker stronghold. So attack it first, draw the other Thundercats out of the lair, and then attack the lair. It almost works.
Honestly, it really does up until the end. We cut to a beautiful forest and a new music cue, I want to say, for a second.
Yeah, I noticed this yesterday, and I wondered if, I don't know for a fact whether Bernard Hoffer wrote character themes for Lynx-O, Bengali, and Pumyra, but I wondered if the theme might be Pumyra's theme. It gets played again, just a little bit of it in a few episodes, Mumm-Ra's Belt, which features her heavily. And I was trying to like place in my mind other times where it might be used where she's in the scene. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's new, and it's lovely. It's like peaceful and pretty, and yeah.
Don't worry, little one. I'll have you free in a cat's wink. Who would be mean enough to trap an innocent creature like this?
I would love if that was Pumyra's theme, Zack, because we know our first season we had a theme for basically every Thundercat. I mean, Tiger, Panther, Cheetara, Wily Kit and Wily Cat too. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can definitely think of scenes that use that piece of music where she's not there, but she's not in a lot of the. She's so underused in the rest of the show. Like this episode and just a couple others feature her, but we don't get much Pumyra in our lives. So yeah, I love this scene because it's beautifully animated. It's a good character moment for her. So she hears this unicorn in distress and she goes to rescue the unicorn, which is, obviously shows her kindness and her care. But then she's also angry with whoever did it.
She leaps again. She does a leap and a spin to get to that unicorn. So she was really, and I love that shot when her ears perk up when she hears the unicorn making that sound in the forest. So yeah, honestly, that's funny, Zack, because we have been getting Pumyra, but Bunglers, we will see less and less of her as the season goes on. So it's so strange that they decided to introduce these new characters, but then kind of were just like, let's go back to, let's Lynx-O, of course, Bengali, but let's go back to, our original crew. So I wonder at what point was the Pumyra's end?
I think it's just that a character needs to have something compelling about them for the writers to want to use them. So, Lynx-O is a compelling character. He's wise. His blindness comes in handy sometimes because certain things don't work against him. Bengali is interesting because he's sort of hot-headed and young.
You mean hot and young? What?
That too.
There's a point where Luna calls the cat's lair the cat box. Oh my god, I can't. I just wrote that down and I put it in parentheses to
that is actually hysterical.
I have a question for you guys. So Mumm-Ra's plan is to take down the Tower of Omens. Obviously, that is the easier target. To draw out the Thundercats from the lair and have Luna come and take over the lair, basically. What's the end game after that? Because my thought is he thinks that because the Berserkers have Thundrainium on them, that they're going to take down all the Thundercats. Why would he have not had the Lunatics also have this Thundrainium edge? And what were they going to do when just Luna is at the cat's lair?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure with a good weapon, I could probably take Luna down.
Well, she does have a muck.
She's only got a muck. If you take down a muck, she's a little tiny thing, like a little.
No, she takes Alluro and Tugmug with her.
Yeah, because remember they're outside. That's a whole scene with them outside. So
what are you talking about, Ryan?
Oh my god!
You have no choice. But so let's say that the original Thundercats come rescue them. What's to stop them from finishing off the Lunatics again? Now, I'm going to throw it out there, and this is early in this episode, but if I was Mumm-Ra, I would have taken Thundrainium and just sprinkled it all over Cat in the vents, in the chamber. I would have just flew in myself, tootin' tiny.
Sprinkle
and
everything in
sprinkle
there.
fairy dust on every orifice, every piece, every bed, everything. This place would have been the Thundrainium pits.
The poor cat's lair, every orifice of it.
It would have been glowing red. Now, wouldn't that have been a great plan? They wouldn't have been able to go back in there.
Could it be, though, that Mumm-Ra can't give the Lunatics
too much power?
Exactly, because he knows that he's still going to take them down eventually again. Put them back in the molten lava.
But Thundrainium wouldn't affect Mumm-Ra.
No, but I'm thinking if he gives them that power, then too, like, they would be so unstoppable against the ThunderCats, maybe, but
that's the ultimate goal, to take down the ThunderCats and then
that's
get rid of the Lunatics again.
I mean, you're right, David. The whole plan is, like, half-baked, right? Because if he really wanted to take down those buildings, he should just do it himself.
Make them inoperable. Make them like, you know what? If for us it would be like radiation. Like if you drop something that was radioactive, you would never be able to go back there. There'd be a point where there'd be too much Thundrainium. It would be impossible to clean it all up, even if you sent the poor burbles in.
Right, it's like a Superfund site.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like in Return of the Driller when Driller drains Acid Lake and they have to rescue the lair from basically being melted.
Samouflage. Was that what they used?
No,
Sponge Fog.
Oh, Sponge Fog, that's right. Oh my god, Sponge Fog. We have to go back to the...
What? Sponge?
Let's cut back to the Tower of Omens, because Bengali asks if Pumyra got back yet, and now we know that Pumyra is with the whole unicorn thing, and she was basically taken by the Berserkers while she was in the forest trying to rescue the unicorn.
Lynx-O is there in the dark. The way that the screen works is that if the Braille board has something to show, it gets projected on the screen. But if there's nothing to show, then it's just a dark room. So he's just standing there alone in the dark, like a parent waiting for their kid to get home with the light turned off.
Me. I'm with my teenager.
Peeking out the window, waiting just...
And yeah, then Bengali wants to look out the actual window, so... Lynx-O throws the screen up, and she's right there. And I don't know if it's on purpose, but Bengali is like angry. He's like, she's right there.
Not all of us are blind, Lynx-O. I could look out the window. Let me look out the window, please. It's so dark in this building.
The scanners show nothing, yet I still have uneasy feelings.
Has Pumyra returned?
No. Perhaps she's on her way now. I'll clear the screens.
There! Pumyra!
Her life force is dangerously low.
And then Lynx-O can hear her life force, and it's dangerously low.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. Is that... Now, do you think that's almost something like how they say plants have... like sound waves that are released? Maybe like Lynx-O can hear how drained somebody is based on... I mean, it's amazing. It's just amazing that he was able to sense that.
Lynx-O is every woman. He's every woman. He does everything. Don't be. That's it.
I'm telling you, what do I say every episode? He is the breakout star of...
I'm going to tell you right now, the next scene is a breakout for me when that beautiful tiger man runs. Runs to get Pumyra.
So
I rewound that a few times, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, and the hammer scene is fantastic. So Bengali, Zack's right. He is angry. He's like, I need to get to Pumyra. He runs outside of the Tower of Omens, and poor Pumyra is like Emerald Akbar in Star Wars. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Yeah, it's a trap, Bengali.
And then Bengali, Hammer of Thundera, fire for truth, justice, and loyalty.
Strike for truth, justice. But I also love that he wrote, Ho, I'm coming. Ho, Pumyra, I'm coming.
I've said that to a few hoes, too. Ho, I'm coming.
Oh God.
I must warn Lynx-O and Bengali.
Ho, Pumyra! Hold on! I'm coming!
Bengali, it's a trap.
Bengali runs over there, and again, this scene, something like this, I love ambushes and things like this, so I appreciate this. Well, I like it. No, not that I know of, but
don't turn around.
So Yeah, I don't know what that means. That's take that as you will. But I do love that when you have a fortress and then, you're running out of it and then, you get this ambush kind of scene. But
I love the scene because Pumyra is helpless. Like, she's drained from the Thundrainium, and he has to rescue her. And the dialogue with the hammer is, I think it's like, I don't know, I think it's his like most iconic piece of dialogue. The whole scene is just, it's very intense.
Ah! Wow! Hammer of Thundera! Strike for justice, truth, honor, and loyalty!
That holding it up to the sky, the music cue that plays, it's...
The smoke screen he creates.
So good. So good.
Waiting for him to run into Lion-O's arms that fast. What?
Oh. So this was your breakout moment, David? This was
Brokeback Mountain me.
Oh, Bengali, starting a whole new generation of cat lovers.
Tingles.
You're right. So Pumyra is really drained. Right. She just falls right to the ground. She's laying on the ground, like, passed out.
Again, this is just like when the poor new ThunderCats had to get shipped off and they had to fight through the Thundrainium again. It's like, this is like their lot in life, unfortunately.
Yeah, Pumyra's just like, I have to walk all the way back from this place, dragging myself. But I think it shows how tough they are, honestly.
Or just how traumatized they are. It was only 2 months ago, Ryan.
You're right. 2 months and they've gone through a civil war, giants, everything. They keep seeing they've gone through it all.
The music, like you said, is really high energy. He creates this smoke screen and he starts running with Pumyra. And Lynx-O comes out of the tower in the Thunderstrike. All of this action takes place basically in the front yard, like in the tower's front yard. It's really interesting. I can't think of another episode, maybe like Mumm-Ra, where there's like scenes outside the lair, like just outside the lair where things are happening. It's just, I find it really interesting that like home is there, but it's just out of reach. Like,
yeah.
Safety is just out of reach. So yeah, Lynx-O shows up, and then they get into the Thunderstrike, and as they're taking off, Ram Bam slams into, he like takes off and slams into it, and the Thunderstrike crashes.
It was so close. But I do love that Lynx-O does take the initiative to come try to pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just waiting for the Braille board to give him information. He's actively going. Do you know that shot later, speaking of the Braille board now, where it's brought into him? So the Braille board is literally moved from the tower. It's a separate
two
board.
Okay. I had the same, I checked last night. I'm like, wait, did they bring it in and then install it? No, they bring it in. The purpose of them bringing it in is just to trigger his memory.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there are two Braille boards. There's the one that's like permanently in the tower, and then there's the one that's portable that's in the Thunderstrike.
Because could you imagine, though, if he had to literally take that from the vehicle to the tower every time he got in and out? Because that would have been a whole other thing. So that aside.
So the Thunderstrike crashes, and for some reason, the Berserkers start attacking one of the empty pods.
Do they automatically think there's a ThunderCat in each one of those pods?
I guess. It's very strange. Like, there are clearly someone must be flying this thing, but they attack the pod. And so then that gives Bengali and Pumyra time to get into the other pod, and then Lynx-O uses his light shield to signal Cat's lair.
That's right.
Which is really cool. I think it's the only time we ever see him use the light shield this way, as sort of like a distress beacon. But he aims it just right so that it can strike the window of the lair.
And then, that's right. And then Top Spinner spins up into the...
He drills a hole through the bottom of the Thunderstrike to disrupt the beam of the light shield.
Still able to get through.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Again, this man can do everything, Lynx-O.
That looks like a beam from Lynx-O's light shield.
By Thundera, you're right. Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight. The Berserkers are ripping the Thunderstrike apart. We've got to help them. Wily Cat and Wily Kit, you stay here and hold the fort with Snarf. Ho!
One of my favorite little moments of this whole episode. It's so silly, but it's just the fact that Lion-O and Tigra are sitting at the table just randomly sitting there, and Snarf's in the window, and
Lounging.
Wily Cat are just in that room. Like, I just love that they have that as like a hangout for me. I don't know why. Just the idea of the Thundercats having like a downtime, and Tiger and Lion-O just talking at the table. Maybe they're playing a game. Maybe they're talking about poetry or something. I don't know. Quick moment, but yes, they get the alert that something's going on from that light shield. That's right.
Yep, he uses Sight Beyond Sight to see what's going on. Again, he's on it. Although it's weird that the sword didn't warn him, but at least he uses Sight Beyond Sight.
The sword's like, did you ask Cheetara what's going on?
Well, she's sleeping.
She said, "Do not disturb." So, Mumm-Ra's also watching this.
Yep. So now this is when he unveils the second part of his plan, which is to summon Luna and get the Lunatics to attack the lair. And he says the Lunatics will invade their loathsome lair.
They too.
And Mumm-Ra does something that he tends to do, which is the underhanded, like, he basically insults Luna. If you think you can handle a bunch of kittens, like, he does this all the time. He does this to the mutants. He does this. It's like, this is where I would be like, well, then why don't you go do it yourself?
I get the sense in this episode that Mumm-Ra, during the scene, actually, he goes back into his sarcophagus. He keeps going back in. I get the sense that he's a little worn out. He just needs his rest. He needs his beauty sleep for some reason. Coming off of the last episode, maybe he just needs a break.
Reveal yourself, Mumm-Ra, and tell me why you have sent for me.
I have information concerning the ThunderCats, which you may find of interest. Behold!
So, the cat box? What of it?
Have patience. There is more to tell. Those you see are the only ones there at present. I thought you might help them give their elders a warm welcome when they return. Assuming, of course, you are capable of crushing a couple of kittens.
Those ThunderCats have been nothing but trouble. Nothing would give me greater pleasure than to be rid of them.
And he does do that. He uses that, like, I'm going to insult them to kind of like lure them to do what I want. They're going to be the middleman. They're going to be my lackey. He does it a lot to get what he wants. He's manipulative in that way.
But it's so funny, that he knows that tactic works every time. It's so funny that this is the...
Well, they're all egomaniacs. All the mutants, all the Lunatics, all the bad people. I mean, even the Berserkers are sort of like... Everyone thinks they're the best, but yet they've never been able to...
They've never been able to do anything.
They're bunglers. They're all bunglers.
But Zack's right. He walks to the sarcophagus. This is a classic Mumm-Ra move because he's talking to himself all the way to the sarcophagus. The door is closed and he's still going and talking and how he's gonna get in and they too shall succumb to the Thundrainium. So in the meantime, Lynx-O hears Sky Tomb.
Only one craft on Third Earth sounds like that. Sky Tomb. I must repair the radio to warn Lion-O of the Lunatics movement. He could be walking into a trap.
He's inside the Thunderstrike, and he's like, I know that sound anywhere.
Ooh, that was a good impression. That was a good impression. I'm going to add that to your Katharine Hepburn. That's good. That was a good one.
I do prefer doing Willa, of course, but she sadly is not featured in this episode, but
nor the next one. You get a little Willa break.
I hope we do see her relatively soon again, or
I think it's a while. I think it's a long while.
Breaks my heart. Yes, David?
I don't know where to in the episode, but I wanted to point out a few things that kind of hit me. One, for some reason, this episode stands out where I feel like for the first time, and I know it's not the first time, but for me, it felt like the first time. a lot of physical damage. Like, you see a lot of physical damage to different vehicles. You see physical damage during the fight to weapons and things that Berserkers have. Like, I see a lot of, like, instead of just shooting and nothing happens. Like, I like this part. This is a little bit more, too. A little more grittier, a little more like where you see physical damage where it's not just all sunshine and rainbows and pretend that the person got hurt. Like, I'm seeing physical damage. And there's a point where they basically say they're going to kill the
Bengali.
ThunderCats.
Yeah, they're gonna grind his bones.
Stand fast until his cannons are spat. Then we'll grind his bones.
So these are two things that really stood out for me.
Yeah, it's the danger feels very real in this one.
Like, they're not playing. Like, I feel like the mutants, even though they tend to... They talk a good game, I've never seen them actually... They're more like big bullies. I've never seen them physically, like...
yeah.
They've never really... I don't know how to describe.
They'll make you a slave, but they're not going to grind you.
I guess they're a credible threat, but I never felt like they would actually slit your throat. You know what I mean? Kind of a thing. But it seems like the Berserkers are so crazed. Like, they're just deranged that they will grind your bones.
Yeah, I mean, they eat unicorns for breakfast. Like, they're savage.
Yeah.
The mutants will give you till daylight to pull you apart, at least. They'll give you a grace period on the 4 winds, you know? You'll get that little downtime to think about your life before you're pulled apart.
I'm just saying, well, listen, there might have been a visit that night. You never know.
Well, the 4 winds. So, this is a great shot, because this, David, is when you said Luna visits Mumm-Ra, because we see Sky Tomb is parked outside the pyramid.
I love that.
He's pulling up to the bumper, baby.
This is when I wanted to ask David, was this the Xanadu music? Because when Luna's talking at the cauldron, we do get the music. Was this the score that this was?
Honestly, I'd have to go back. There's the one part when Sky Tomb first. No, I'm talking about when Sky Tomb first. You see Sky Tomb, and it's like when the brute men are doing the shoveling. There is this sound, and it just builds.
It's like the boot up noise.
And it's like, yes, exactly. It's the boot up noise, and that's when the very beginning of the soundtrack with Xanadu, that sound that builds, the very beginning, and that's exactly what it sounds like to me. I want you to do the comparison. You're good with these things, Ryan.
I gotta find that moment. This is when they were stroking the fires, as I call it. Stroking the fires.
I'll send the clip to you.
Stroke those fires. I did note in my notes that he's back to using Luna now, Mumm-Ra. He went kind of through the gang, right? And he's like, you know what? I'm going back to Luna.
Well, he knows he needs all of them. He knows he needs like the whole group to take over the lair and be like a united threat. And Luna is the only one who can unite them. So
you're right, honestly. You're right.
And yeah, this is where we get her saying she says he shows her the lair in the cauldron, and she says, so the cat box, what of it? He's so unimpressed. She's over it.
Do you know something funny? This is Ryan and I did an episode, with the mistaken lyrics. That one of the mistaken lyrics to the song "Rockin' the Casbah" is someone thinks "rocking the cat box." So tie into one of our other episodes. I swear I read this someplace. The person rocking the cat box. So Luna was trying to be rocking that cat box.
Luna, if you want it, or something. Wow.
Listen, I'm trying to tie other episodes, and this is called branding.
I love
Ryan.
that.
Go listen to that episode. It's very funny. Go listen to it right now, Bunglers. It's a short listen. It's like 30 minutes. Go do it.
Celsius, our new sponsor. Thank you. Trader Joe's.
Oh my god, and Trader Joe's, that's right. We have now Lynx-O and Tigra flying, I feel like, right? They are on the move. ThunderCats are loose.
We skipped a little part where the Berserkers are pursuing Bengali and Pumyra in the pod.
That's right.
But then they realize that they left Lynx-O behind. It's a little, maybe they're just not very smart, but it's a little confused that like Hammerhand sends Cruncher and Top Spinner back. He sends 2 of them back to take care of Lynx-O while he pursues the pod. This is where I think they're like at their most piratey. He says, "Stand fast until his cannons are spent." Like the laser cannons are going to run out of cannonballs.
Evidently.
But then the pod does crash, and we don't know why. So maybe the cannons did get spent. Something happened. And yeah, he says, "Then we'll grind his bones."
Arr.
Not Bengali, please. Not Bengali. No. No. Do not grind his bones.
Well,
you know what? This season is going to get a rated R. We're going to get an explicit sticker on this cover this season with all this Bengali talk.
It's all just playful innuendo.
Yeah. It just depends on how filthy your mind is, Ryan. Apparently yours is treacherously filthy.
Treacherously. Speaking of treacherous, this is the fantastic part then. Okay, so we're gonna rub it off them.
My cannon cannot penetrate the Berserker's armor. Only Thundrainium could give it such power.
Thundrainium. Maybe we can rub it off them. Follow me into a tight bank, then circle at top speed.
This is super weird, right?
Yeah.
Tigra figures out that their armor has Thundrainium because his laser cannon on the Thunderclaw doesn't penetrate it. Like, it doesn't do anything. It just bounces off. He says only Thundrainium could do that. Thundrainium is a metal.
But they also, one of them, I don't know if it's Top Spinner, says something about Thundrainium to one of the ThunderCats. He's that outer inner dialogue thing. So
Top
yes,
Spinner, yes, he does.
So it's like bungle.
Except I don't know how Lion-O makes this logical leap. Like, they could be forged. Thundrainium is a metal. They could be made of Thundrainium. So he just deduces that it's a coating, like a light, just a light, single coat of Thundrainium.
Little powder. He's like cornstarch all over their bodies.
You're right. How is it that the coating is so light that he thinks that this will just rub off with enough?
Why not water? Why
didn't
they just spin around and shoot like they were trying to put out the fire?
The fires, right? Get the feliner and spin around.
No, I think it's like it's like one of those sand blaster things you use to like get paint off of metal.
Okay.
Oh, because you're right, Zach, because the sand was whipping around it, so it was scraping.
Get the pressure washer out.
Tigra. So they work in tandem. Going off on a tangent, right? Oh my gosh. Okay, it rubs off. It rubs right off.
It rubs the lotion on its skin, or it gets the hose again.
I love that Lion-O said let's try to rub it off. I think that's the most obscure piece of dialogue, but I'm okay with it. All right.
You're okay with Lion-O
rubbing
one off?
I'm sure it's happened before, but where is Bengali?
So yeah, the Thundrainium gets rubbed off, and then it's an even playing field. So suddenly, Berserkers are outmatched, and they know it.
Yes.
And they start running away. And this is actually, I think, my favorite moment, because Bengali fires on them. They're already running away. He continues firing on them.
He's like, nope.
That's my man, my other man.
He is pissed off, and I don't think it's just about this episode. I think it's about 2 months ago. I think
he holds a grudge.
He holds up. I mean, imagine being kidnapped, having your little Paradise Island home destroyed, and getting kidnapped, put on a boat, chained up, forced to row in circles, and now here they are again, kidnapping your girlfriend.
That's not his girlfriend. That's his sister.
Maybe it's his BFF.
That's his beard.
Bengali's beard.
He clearly cares a lot about her.
Yes, in his very sisterly brother way.
You're terrible. You are terrible.
So yeah, it's a little like petty and sort of un-Thundercat like, but I really like that moment because it shows how much these Berserkers have put them through.
Yes, and take charge. That's true. And why not give him a little one more blast just to make sure?
Sure.
Get going, please. Get going. Don't drown on the way out this time.
We're due. They're going to come back anyway.
But we never see them again. This is the only time they show up again. And it's funny, I think I said this during ThunderCats, how the reimagining of the Berserkers for season 2, I think was really successful. I really like their piratey banter. I think they're threatening but also kind of funny. They could have been a mainstay of the rest of the series.
Yes.
And they weren't. This is their last appearance.
That's so sad because we definitely have a chunk of episodes left that
R.I.P. R.I.P. Hammerhand.
But just think, David, they're out there somewhere plundering the high seas, repeating things 3 times.
Eating unicorns.
Oh my god!
I wonder if they were going to eat that unicorn that Pumyra rescued.
That's what honestly
Probably.
I thought of too. You know, that was a snack for later after they thought they were going to get rid of all the Thundercats today. This was going to be it. Speaking of people laying on the ground, we cut to the Tower of Omens and Lynx-O is on the metal platform in the middle of the tower. Pumyra is over him. And a few episodes ago when Zack was here last time, we mentioned how Pumyra has this title of being the Thundarian healer. And Zack mentions it's because of one scene in one episode, and that's where they get it from. And guess what, Bunglers? It's here now.
There it is.
This is her medical training.
And she's not even that good. She says, I've treated him with all the healing skills I learned on Thundera.
I laid him on this ground.
I put a bandage on his head.
Well, maybe she missed a couple of classes because the planet was blowing up.
You mean she took
in defense of my girl, she read the syllabus. She bought the medical kit. She bought what she needed for the class, the stethoscope, and the medical bag. But hey, things happen.
That is hysterical. That she could have been a great healer if it wasn't for the destruction.
It was
of
rush
Panthro.
week, and she was trying to pledge to.
Oh my god,
Kappa Kata.
You know, she tries because we know that every Thundercat, right, has to have some kind of extra skill. So she heard this and she's just like, yeah, I took that class in, like you're saying, Thundarian College. I'm going to be the Thundarian healer. You're going to use me.
All right, it was a night class. I never went to the university. It was
only a night class, Lion.
I was supposed to be learning Spanish, but I went into the wrong class.
Is this the new, but she even looks older because she's like, you know what, I did all I could do, but he is older, so, you know, it's touch and go now, so don't expect much of my Thundarian healing because he is old.
You know how old people are. They're just broken.
Touch and go, you know.
Will he be all right?
His wound doesn't seem too serious, and I've treated it with all the healing skills I learned on Thundera. But he is older.
Friend of my father and fellow Thundercat, we need you here on Third Earth with us.
The Eye of Thundera holds many powers in the hands of the Lord of the Thundercats. Call on them now, Lion-O.
Mystic Eye of Thundera, I, Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats, call on your magic powers to heal our friend Lynx-O.
What happened? Where am I?
You're safe and sound in the Tower of Omens, old friend.
So, Lion-O, I actually do love this heartwarming friend of my father. We need you here on Third Earth. You know, like it's always old friend. He's like, thank you for always mentioning that I'm old and blind, right? Like, you got.
You're right. That's I hadn't noticed that. Friend of my father it's a callback to Thundercats Ho when he says everyone knew him. Talking about Claudus, talking about Lion-O's father. That's a nice little callback. I missed that.
So sweet, and it's to me so sweet. Yeah, it's like another thing is like, please don't leave us. I want to know more about my father. I want to know more about Thundera's history and things like that.
Better get started. Pumyra's got him 1 foot in the grave. Better get those information now.
She's Nurse Ratchet.
She's like a broken leg. It's over for him. We might as well shoot him. He's a lame horse. Bye.
Lynx-O doesn't have much time, Lion-O. I'm sorry.
Yeller.
Or like Daryl Hannah in Kill Bill.
Oh yeah, with her little eye patch on. She all of a sudden Needle. So Jaga has been hearing all this, and he's like, "Oh no, I need to step in because this guy's gonna die because she's not doing anything." And no, I honestly love Pumyra.
Like there's only room for one spirit to appear. This isn't Return of the Jedi. We're not gonna both. I'm not appearing with this man. I am fully ruling over this afterlife world. He is not appearing with me in blue.
He's not appearing with this man.
So
I will not appear with this man.
He better live.
Oh my god! Now I'm picturing Luna as like Yoda, like her spirit, her little at the end.
She's on Lion-O's back. Hurry up! A muck would be able to do this.
Yeah. Jaga's like, Lion-O, guess what? There's another thing that this sword use the sword, because the sword in the hands of the Lord of the ThunderCats can do amazing things.
You've unlocked another level.
I mean, honestly, now it heals.
Yeah, it's a little much, but it's kind of beautiful.
Yes,
like, the way he holds the sword, it's like twinkling, and then the ThunderCat symbol sort of slowly goes down and touches Lynx-O in the chest. I don't know. It's a little overpowered, a little, Deus Ex Machina, especially because we never see it happen again. We know the sword never heals anyone ever again, but it is beautiful.
Do you think the writers realized at this very moment that was the end of Pumyra? Then we asked earlier, her healing is not even needed anymore. Pumyra in that very moment goes, oh shit. The sword will put bandages on. Damn.
I was gonna be this one. This was gonna be my thing.
I was gonna go all in on this.
She was gonna have a spin-off, Pumyra Medicine Woman, like you said.
Traveling third Earth with her pouch.
Her little pouch, yeah.
On unicorn back.
Oh, that actually. You know what? Give us a three episode miniseries. That's where she disappeared to. This is Bengali and Tigra. I love them bringing in the Braille board together.
I love it too. They're come in carrying the Braille board, and they're holding it like a pair of Price is Right models, one on each side of it, displaying it, but also facing forward so that you can see them. I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
The episode is not over, actually.
No.
We got more stuff to go. Aloro pops up on the screen in the Tower of Omens during this. He says, come home, serve us. Got a lot of weed to sell, if we're going with that, Aloro.
Brave ThunderCats! We knew you would defeat the Berserkers!
Aloro, what are you doing in Cat's Lair?
See for yourselves! Don't they look happy and content? You will be too. Come home. Come home to serve us.
Tigra, follow my lead.
Lion-O whispers to Tigra, follow my lead.
And then they
they zombie
out of there.
Pretend this is an episode of Scooby-Doo and you're in a trance.
The zombie arms. They walk all the way from the tower to Cat's Lair.
The lair.
Wait, what?
Lair.
Do they
No,
walk?
they must fly.
Can you imagine them flying like this? And Aloro and Tugmug are waiting outside on the drawbridge with a gigantic moon.
This beautiful moon.
And speaking of outstretched hands, I'm sorry, but Aloro always has this little Bela Lugosi hands, and he's always
yes.
And he just waves he kind of just
Betty Davis eyes.
No, it's not Betty. But he just kind of directions to it with the hand, like a T-Rex almost. Here's the moon, Aloro. Tugmug, here's this moon. They're coming.
You see, he calls them a fine-looking pair.
Yeah, not to be confused with Captain Shiner making fun of Slythe and
That's true.
Yeah, not the pretty pair. He says, take down that cat symbol and replace it with this beautiful moon.
I love that. The ThunderCats don't really. It's like a level of reverence for the moon, for this symbol that's theirs, that we don't see from the ThunderCats. Really, I mean, I guess they do put the symbol on everything, don't they? But I don't know. Just to hear him talk about it as this beautiful moon,
Yeah, it's almost like they worship it as like a deity or something, right? That's how I took it. Put this beautiful moon up. Lion-O is not having it because I want to say he instantly slices it.
I think he hoes first.
Laura's like, oh, what's going on here?
He's hoeing around.
And then, yeah, he just slices it into pieces and it crumbles.
What a fine-looking pair. They will make excellent slaves, eh, Tugmug?
They surely will.
You are happy to be here, to serve us.
Happy to serve you.
You will take that hideous cat symbol down off the wall and replace it with this beautiful moon.
Thunder! 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 ThunderCats! Ho!
Oh, that would look kind of bizarre with the body and then having a
yes, David,
a moon head on the body, like the
with the arms.
A little weird.
Yeah, it just be I'm picturing exactly, David, like a little, like almost like a Christmas tree star on top of like the Lair's body. Like take the head off, you get the.
Well, it'd be kind of like like the Sphinx, but different.
So the hypnotic spell does not work using the telescreen because, I mean, we find out soon, but Lion-O and Tigra put little earplugs in their ears, which, do they have this as part of their utility belts, you think? On their little cat symbol?
They must just, keep them in the glove compartment in the, in the cover cat.
This is when Luna and Amok is, like David said, she's the only one inside Cat's lair now. Does Amok start running?
This part's weird. They start running down the stairs to join the fray / rescue Allura and Tugmug. But I get the impression that it's supposed to be that Amok is going down the stairs and he's built up so much momentum that he can't slow down.
Is that what it is?
Because Luna says, "Slow down."
Amok, slow down.
That must be what it is, that he's just built up so much speed that he can't stop. It's a really easy, oh, okay, I guess they're just going to run away.
She was like a drunk bridesmaid at a cowboy bar.
Riding a mechanical bull?
Riding a mechanical bull.
I like that. You're right, actually. He actually picks up Allura and Tugmug, though, as he's running by them. So he does at least grab them as he's whatever.
He rescues them. He's got a heart.
Uncontrollable, yeah.
He's a brute. But he's loyal, which is more than I can say for many of the others.
The wrap-up, gentlemen, oh my goodness. Seeing Lion-O shaking his head at what the Lunatics did to the cat's lair and having Tigra say, those Lunatics really tore up the place!
They threw a party. They threw a rager.
God!
When Allura first pops up in the telescreen at the tower, you see that he's hypnotized the kittens and Snarf, and they're serving them bowls of fruit.
Yes!
So most of this mess is just fruit, and there are some wine glasses on the table that are spilled. They made
Did they have the straws though?
I was looking. I didn't see the straws.
No straws.
Snarf's I only take those out for the ThunderCats, And you're right, Zack. There's that reaction that actually Pumyra and Bengali have the most reactions of seeing the kittens and Snarf as slaves. Did you notice that? They kind of go, oh, they're so disgusted by that moment with the Lunatics. It shows again how moral these characters are. But Snarf says he can't believe the things Allura made them do. What do you think?
What kind of party was it?
That's a matter of fact. Poor Snarf.
This is where I'm going to put my finger over my mouth and go, shh. I don't know nothing.
Oh, my goodness.
What happens at the cat's lair stays at the cat's lair.
Maybe there was some silky fruit in that bowl.
Freaky deaky.
Snarf's I had to put tarps down. You don't even know. There was a lot. God knows, Lion-O, what was happening in here.
What a mess!
That Alluro! I can't believe what he made us do.
It even looked like you and Tigra were in his power.
How did you break his spell?
Yeah, come on, Lion-O. Tell me how you did it.
Sorry, Snarf, I couldn't hear you. Tigra and I plugged our ears so Alluro's voice wouldn't get to us. Now, what were you saying?
Those lunatics really tore up the place. We'd better clean up.
I'd rather face those lunatics in battle than clean up after them.
Come on, Snarf. We'll all pitch in and do the job ThunderCats style. As a team.
I really had a lot of fun with this, though. This episode. Oh, by the way, they clean it up. Tigra says, "Let's do it ThunderCats style." I want to say together, basically.
As a team, yeah.
As a team, and they start cleaning. Great, thanks.
It's a weird wrap up. The whole episode is like I have a special place in my heart for this episode because it was the first episode I ever recorded on VHS, or I guess my parents recorded it for me. I was like 3 years old, so I've seen it a lot because it was the first episode on the first tape of all my tapes.
Amazing.
But I think that I don't quite understand what the lesson is. Like, okay, we're going to do this as a team. The title is Together We Stand, which implies divided we fall. But they are literally divided. Like, they have 2 strongholds, one of which is defenseless. I don't quite get this one. And the the moral... Well, this is maybe a fun fact thing. The moral, like the written moral from the psychologist, from Robert Cuisis, is it's so dumb. It says, it's not always in our best interest to do something just because the crowd is doing it, or it seems like we can get away with it. Like Lion-O and Tigra, it is better to plug our ears to outside influences and temptations. What the fuck? Like, what?
This is when the psychologist was like, "What are we going to come up with?"
That to me doesn't really work. I feel like this episode is a tie-in to the Civil War episode because it kind of brings them back to they're there for each other. The anger that they feel about, like you said, about them, like the Pumyra, seeing Bengali. Them and Bengali seeing them enslaved, that like where they have, that they're solid. And so for me, I feel like that would be a nice tie-in because of like how easily they were persuaded to go against each other, where this is something different. And then there's obviously the adventure part, and then the whole bringing the Thundrainium back into play, like Zack said, how angry because they were enslaved by these particular Berserkers, because if the Berserkers weren't in this situation, maybe it wouldn't sting so much. Like if it was just the lunatics.
Yeah.
So I think to me, that's the tie-in from the original when they first are on the scene to the Civil War to now. Like so for me, that would be the moral, I guess, if you want to call it. Or I don't understand like that's far-fetched.
I don't know that it needs a moral. I think it's a good story, and I think it's like, and like you're saying, it like in the trajectory of their relationships with each other and their characters, it's just a good story and a good representation of what they...
Isn't it empowering? It's empowering because they pushed back the Berserkers. The little group, the newer ThunderCats. And he, like you said, he pursued them even after they left. Like, it's like he exerted his, he asserted his...
dominance.
His manhood, his dominance, his whatever. Like, you're not going to do this to us anymore. We're not going to be victimized by you. We're going to...
I love that.
I'm still pushing forward. We're not going to be this like, oh, okay, we defeated you, can go. Like, he's like, no, don't come back.
And they don't. They don't. That's like never be seen again. Never.
My man stepped up to the plate. My other man, Lion-O, don't be upset. Blue is one of my favorite colors.
If Lion-O hadn't rubbed it off, though, Lion-O rubbed it off so Bengali could shoot his shot
with his hammer of Thundera. Is that what he's calling it? The hammer of Thundera.
Yep.
I've heard many names.
You are going to need an explicit E on this one, Ryan. I'm sorry.
You know what, though? I bet you the Bunglers are getting hot under the collar over all this talk. Did we miss any little fun facts or anything along the way for Together We Stand?
I have a few, yeah. So I mentioned this when we first met, I think, and when we talked about Out of Sight and the Mountain, that there was, I an effort on the part, like a fan effort, to put the season 1 episodes into a continuity order.
Yes.
And that conversation continued about season 2. And this was one episode where one thing that I don't remember who floated it or how much discussion there was, but I wrote it down at the time, that the opening where Cheetara and Lynx-O are both sensing something incredibly evil doesn't necessarily need to be connected to the events of this episode. If you reshuffle the episodes, maybe they're detecting like Norvagnage being dug up, or the Ogura Talisman, like lunar alignment thing. Like they could be something else if you really wanted to like be nerdy and think about what the continuity could be if the episodes were in a different order.
That's actually great, because Cheetara's rest could also be like, it had nothing to do with this episode. So she had the vision, took her nap, and then tomorrow the book is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that, yeah.
That's cool.
There's a cool animation thing that I noticed in this episode where what I mentioned before, like the sense of the tower, of home, of safety being just out of reach.
Yes.
The whole, almost the entire sequence is animated with a consistent screen direction, so that in every shot and every scene, almost, there's a couple exceptions, the safety of the tower is always on the screen right, and danger is to the left. And so when you're like, when Bengali and Pumyra flee in the pod, they're going left, and so they're going further from home. Like and for me, like that elevates the sense of danger because they're getting farther from safety.
The tower safety.
Well, swipe right then, people. Swipe right.
Swipe right.
That's all I'm gonna say. Swipe right.
When Jaga shows up at the end, Pumyra is animated staring right at him as if she could see him.
Yes, that's what I thought too.
Which I thought was, I don't know if it's on purpose, but I like it.
She's like, who is he talking to? By himself.
She learned that type of communication in her communications class, night school, along with her healing class and herbs, her herbalist class.
And then the last thing I noticed is that when Tigra is spinning his whip at the end overhead, when they're attacking Oloro and Tugmug, it sounds to me like the same sound that Panthro's nunchucks make when they spin around.
Ooh.
It's like that. It's like the exact same sound. I thought that was kind of... Because Panthro isn't in this episode. He doesn't make an appearance.
Panthro was missing, yes, which is an odd choice, right? I feel like. No Panthro.
Maybe him and Cheetara are just tired.
Tired of this.
Maybe, just maybe, Pumyra's like, Panthro's getting old too. He might need some healing.
Let me play doctor today. Hold on.
He's old too, so maybe he should just throw himself down on the ground over here too.
As a matter of fact, I have him in another room just laying down on that steel steps leading to the tower. Oh, God. So together we stand. The title might not make sense, but...
But, I think I've said already that why it's special to me, but I also think that as episodes featuring the new ThunderCats go, this is kind of the best one. It's kind of their star turn, the three of them together. You get to see them, how much they care for each other. It's sort of since the 5-parter, which obviously featured them heavily, I think this is their best standalone episode.
Except for the breakout star, Lynx-O.
Well, yes, he's always...
Our breakout star, Lynx-O.
Today at 5, get a dose of wholesome family fun on the Brady Bunch. Then at 5:30, join the gang Raj, Rerun, and Dwayne for laughs and a happening time on What's Happening. Coming up, the crazy castaways set sail for misadventure on Gilligan's Island, next on Fox Channel 5.
Thundercats are on the move. Thundercats are loose.
Thundercats are loose, and you can grab them with the Thundercats album and sticker packets. The stickers are scenes from the Dynamite TV series. Collect them, trade with friends, and finish the album quicker. Included is a full-size poster to complete. A packet of 6 stickers is 25 cents. Collector's album is 35 cents.
Thundercats.
Thundercats are loose, and you can grab them when you stick with Panini.
Ravage Island, ThunderCats, Season 2, Episode 11, with the original air date of September 21st of 1987. On Ravage Island, Mumm-Ra oversees the mutants' gathering of magical crystals to fuel the Beacon of Ravage Island, a beam of light which has mind-controlling powers. And bunglers and gentlemen, Lynx-O has been working since sunrise, and Panthro's back. We see the gang. What are they actually doing? They're doing
maintenance on all their vehicles, but It sounds like the way they do maintenance is they take them apart piece by piece.
Exactly.
And put them back together, which is, I guess that's one way to do it.
So they're actually cleaning each entire piece, I feel like, by hand, putting it together. And Panthro is not having this. He's like, he needs to take this more seriously, Lion-O, which is so funny for Panthro's usually like, oh.
Lion-O really ought to take these test flights more seriously.
Go easy on him, Panthro.
He and Snarf have been working since sunrise. He's earned the right to have a little fun.
It looks like the others are still working.
Yeah, I guess they're not as quick as we are, eh, Lion-O?
We did put the Thunderclaw back together pretty fast, Snarf.
Are you sure it's working okay?
Well, there's one way to find out.
Yeah, it's funny. I disagree with Panthro on this one. You know, Lion-O and Snarf are in the Thunderclaw, and they're doing this, like, crazy test flight. I don't think it's... I mean, yeah, it's kind of a droid, but they're also putting it through its paces. Like, if you took a car apart and then put it back together, you'd want to, like, you know, really test everything.
I agree. You want to make sure it works.
I would not be wanting to test it in the air so that I could crash and die. Well, by the way, we didn't put that one piece in. Oh, sorry. Bye.
But you're right. This would be a great test to see if it could still hit everything, if everything is working right, whatever the case is. And the fact that they're doing this out in an open field where the pieces could get lost in the grass is another scary part of this. But whatever, Pumyra and Cheetara are there to defend Lion-O's honor.
You know Cheetara babies him. She's got that motherly instinct, that fierce warrior mother instinct.
Yeah, but if she's not going to be getting a vision of some kind and screaming, what is Cheetara going to do today? What is she going to do today? So, as this is happening, Lion-O and Snarf are flying around. A beam of red fills the air, and Lion-O gets his LJN action figure eyes, and his eyes light up red. He'll put the little ring in the back of him, and his eyes are lighting up red. And he says there's some strange powers coming from this light, and he has to know it. He has to know why.
What's that light, Lion-O?
I don't know, Snarf, but I'm going to find out.
Lion-O, what's happening? Your eyes are glowing. Are you okay? Maybe we should go get the others. I don't like this.
That light has some strange power, Snarf. And I just have to find out what it is and where it's from. I have to know. And I have to know now.
And Snarf finally... Snarf sees his eyes, sees Lion-O's eyes glowing, and says, your eyes are glowing. I feel like in every episode where someone's eyes are glowing, no one ever notices.
No one never notices. Yes,
like
Zack.
when Mumm-Ra was disguised as Jaga in Catfight, his eyes were glowing. Lion-O didn't notice.
And he smoked out and smoked. No cape action that Jaga usually does, but I digress.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like eyes being red from smoking too much. Yes, he turned into smoke. He did do that.
Well, he could have gotten some Aloro strain or whatever they call it.
The bad bubbler. The mad
bubbler.
Let me bubble you.
Snarf does mention that, and he is on the back. He can't go anywhere, really. He's with Lion-O at this point.
And it turns out he's immune to the red light. It doesn't affect him at all, which is sort of key to the whole episode.
What is it about that light? Why doesn't it affect me? We need help, and help is at the Tower of Omens.
That's it.
Snarf, Lynx-O. Snarf,
Lynx-O. That's all you need for, honestly.
Slinkso. Is that good?
Don't forget Linktara, too. Lynx-O and Cheetara. We also see the other Thundercats, Pumyra, Panthro. Who else is around? Cheetara. They see the light, and they are drawn to it as well. And Pumyra says, we can't resist.
We have to follow the light.
I love her voice.
Did you like, for some reason, I don't know what, I liked the voice acting for Panthro at that moment in that clip, in that episode. I don't remember exactly how he...
You believed he was under control?
What he said, but it stood out for me. I don't know why. I have, for me, this episode, I just have, really, key points. Boom, boom, boom. I don't have any, but that just stood out for me. I'll have to play that again.
I'm gonna, I'll probably play the clip right here.
What is that light? Where is it coming from?
I don't know, Cheetara, but I can't fight this.
We must obey the commands of the light. We have no choice.
Panthro, Cheetara!
Our destiny is to follow the light.
Follow the light? Something's wrong. Panthro! Cheetara! Pumyra! Where are you going?
ThunderCats!
I guess they got Mumm-Ra's invitation.
Cue Ravage Island.
Return of the Mutants. I put that down. We talked about this. Where are the mutants been? Bring back my mutants. Bring back my girls.
Now, I am so glad to see the mutants. I do love the mutants. So, welcome back, mutants.
Welcome back. It's nice to see Mumm-Ra enlist some old help now that the Lunatics have failed a few times. And this is, honestly, I think this is some peak mutants right here. We haven't seen them in a while. We haven't seen them like be the main antagonists in a long time. And all four of them on screen together, I feel like this is probably credit to Peter Lawrence. Like all of their dialogue in the whole episode.
Loved it.
They have such good banter. Like these characters are so lived in at this point that like they can just mess with each other.
You're so right. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So Mumm-Ra brings back David, the theater glasses. Do you remember this?
Oh my god. Yeah, I have this. I said Mumm-Ra gives everybody welding solar eclipse glasses.
Yeah. And he says with these, the glasses are made with this anti-reflection that will...
He's like, this is blue block, this is blue block, this is anti-glare, this is the best glasses you could get. They transition when you go with the sun.
Now, I have a feeling Zack will probably be able to correct me. And now, this is not me trying to be funny, Bunglers. I heard this will protect you from the asthmatic power of the Beacon of Ravage Island.
Mesmeric power.
And I wrote, we know Slive has asthma since the caves. My asthma. So what does he actually say, Zack? It's not asthmatic power.
Is it mesmeric power?
Oh, that makes sense.
I'm guessing.
It will protect. So it won't protect you from the asthmatic power of the...
Is there a lot of dust on Ravage Island?
Well, we haven't heard of Ravage Island before, so maybe it is a dusty wasteland. This will protect you from the asthmatic powers of the beam. And matter of fact, it's a new title. How many times, if you want to play a drinking game, does Mumm-Ra say, the Beacon of Ravage Island? The Beacon of Ravage. Trademark. It's copyright.
So much so that a lot of fans think that that's the name of the episode.
It should be. It should be.
Like, this stands out in my mind as like people saying that, like, when referring to the episode, they call it the Beacon of Ravage Island.
Can we take these glasses off now? You foolish mutant! Those glasses are all that protect you from the Beacon of Ravage Island. The Beacon relies on these crystals for its mesmeric power. You and your miserable mutant friends are here to gather crystals for the Beacon. And if you do not wear those glasses, the Beacon will control your mind. No one can control my mind.
Not even Slive can control his mind.
This is no laughing matter, fool.
And it's interesting because the Beacon, like, the crystals are mesmeric on their own. The Beacon just sort of like
asthmatic.
The Beacon just amplifies there and like transmits the light across the horizon. It's also really cool, I think, that it's like a ruin. There's something that it's sort of like in Mask of Gorgon, this feeling that this is an old place, that there's some history here.
Mumm-Ra used to vacation here back in the day.
Before the dome broke, it was like a big greenhouse.
Do you love the fact that Mumm-Ra is talking to the mutants and he basically says it's like mind control, and then Jacqueline, talking about banter, goes, Slive can't even control his own mind.
Yes.
Isn't that funny.
It's like a little jab, like a funny, like, I love this banter. I love it.
It's subtle, but he's talking to Vulture Man, and he like elbows Vulture Man in the chest, like like let's make fun of Slide. There's a lot of good animation moments like that in this episode, and you're right, David. It's a really nice character moment.
So Mumm-Ra says you got to keep these goggles on, because if you don't, you will be under the control of the Beacon of Ravage Island. I will say the full title every time I mention it. Slide says, well, what if I don't? And he takes them off and he says, you are now chained and bound. And Slide, for sure enough, thinks he's bound by his feet, his hands, and he falls down on the ground.
And the manacles are like, they're real. This is what I don't really understand about this whole episode. This whole conceit is like, are the things real? Like, are they physical?
For them, it's very physical.
I think it is.
And everyone else can see them, too. It's not like it's just in their minds. Like, everyone can see it.
But here, there's a part where Mumm-Ra says he has combined his magic with the special type of rocks, Ravage Island, to create a mind control. So I feel like Mumm-Ra's magic combined does make this come to life.
Okay.
Yeah, he's spiked them a little bit.
Yeah, he gave him a little sprinkle, a little extra, a little something that the tax man can't find.
You made me think of this, David, now with the rock mention. We have 2 episodes back to back that involves, we have Thundrainium that could be sprinkled into the tower. Now you could sprinkle the Ravage Island crystal, or what was it, rock candy, as Snarf calls it later.
And you have mind control, which comes up quite often throughout the series. Mumm-Ra and his mind control.
Loves that.
Mind control.
I wrote, Lynx-O and Snarf shines again in this episode.
Yeah, just like in Psych Out, like because the thing is based on light, they're immune. Poor Lynx-O, he gets left behind. They take all the vehicles. He has to walk back to the tower, which means they must be pretty close to the tower. They must be like...
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up.
Walk back.
Because that was one of my questions. Did Lynx-O walk back, and how did he? He literally followed...
And he's blind, for God's sake, blind. You have to make the blind man walk the path.
But I wonder if he kind of, like, in his head, he got, I don't know, the steps... You know, he sees walk 5 paces this way, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, the ThunderCats make their way to Mumm-Ra on Ravage Island, and they're like, we don't know how we were tricked to get here, but we're not gonna put up with it. Well.
What is this place?
And who put this thing here?
It seems to be deserted. No, my sixth sense tells me...
Welcome to Ravage Island, Thunder Slave.
You may have tricked us to this place, Mumm-Ra, but you have no power over us.
Your puny ThunderCat weapon cannot match the force of ancient evil. Surrender, ThunderCat, yes!
Mumm-Ra makes them all believe that they are inside of a cage, right? Much like... Oh.
Jackalman does. So this is where I'm like, it's such a weird power. It's just the power of suggestion. Anything anyone says to them becomes real.
Pumyra's like, I finished my college diploma with healing.
I manifested a diploma. Here it is.
Phoenix College, online courses.
Lion-O collides with a wall in midair because I think it's Slide is like, watch out for that wall. And then
it disappears. Yes, I love that.
And he actually hits it and falls. And then Panthro gets electrocuted. Yeah, and then Jackalman says, this is one prison you'll never escape from. And suddenly they're in it. They all believe they're in a cage.
Safari Joe does it again.
So first of all, it's almost like a Coliseum thing where they're all in the center and then there's like the mutants come out from all around them, surrounding them. I thought that was really cool.
David. Yeah, and Vulture Man is wielding like a shovel.
Yeah.
He's going to beat them.
Yeah, tells them to submit quietly. And Panthro says, I'll give you submit quietly, you mutated macaw.
I loved that. And I did love when you said that he was electrocuted. I love that he was going to break the beam down, the lighthouse, which was smart because he realized Beacon of Ravage Island is the source of the attack or the control.
I'll give you submit quietly, you mutated macaw.
Do as he says, Panthro.
You may think you're ThunderCats, but you'll soon find out you're under mutant control.
Never. ThunderCats. Ho!
So with that cage, Cheetara, don't you know? Honestly, did they get a memo, the writers this season? They were like, use Cheetara's sixth sense in every episode this year? Because it's like something that they sprinkled throughout the first season, right? And then now every episode it's like, Cheetara, it's charmed. We always bring up charmed, but it's charmed. You have to get your premonition to further the episode now, I feel like, in a way. I mean, I love it because I love that mythical side of Cheetara and her powers, but it definitely seems like they're making a conscious effort to remind you, Cheetara has powers.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. If anyone is going to pick up on the fact that they're illusions, it makes sense that it would be her. But she can't do anything about it.
She's like, it's gold bars and she's still bound by the gold.
We're trapped. We'll never get out of here.
No, Pumyra. These bars aren't real. They only exist in our minds.
But she does say that the bars are fake and the Eye of Thundera can break it. Lion-O.
The Eye of Thundera will break this spell, Lion-O. Use the sword!
Yeah, so Lion-O tries to use the sword, but then Mumm-Ra interrupts him and is like, nope, you're going to give me that sword. It was sort of like an Allura move, like, there's nothing you can do. You don't stand a chance.
But this ties into, we've talked about this before, is the Sword of Omens the power, or is Lion-O's will using the Sword of Omens the source of the power? Because his will is what, it's almost like they're, again, we always talk about charm because you were on that charm podcast, but like, the witches, that one, you know, not the Radical Retro Rhyme podcast. Okay, their emotions are what. So is it his willpower?
By their emotions?
Is his emotions what draws more power from his emotions, his strength, his will to fight?
Yes, and I think it's love, honestly, and love for your friends, love for the people that.
Can I just say, every time I've watched the whole episode, all I kept singing in my head is "Blinded by the Light." Blinded by the light.
I took a page out of your book and gave this episode a name, which is Mum Roxanne. You don't have to turn on the red light.
I have to sell my body to the night. Yes, I do. So, Lion-O screams, by the way. This is fantastic. And he said, you will not have the sword. And the Sword of Omen digs itself into the ground, Excalibur. Sword in the stone style.
You will never have the Sword of Omens as long as I have breath in my body.
In that case, the sword will soon be mine. For you are not long for saga.
I love this. It's like, to your point, David, yes, the sword does rely on Lion-O's willpower, but it also clearly kind of has a mind of its own. Like, it draws itself into that stone, and it chooses who's gonna get to release it from that stone.
Which, I have a question later about why that particular Thundercat was able to. So I did write that, did Lynx-O walk back to the Tower of Omens? Because the poor man, he just appears back at the tower. I do love this. Snarf lands, and of course, Snarfer
lands, crashes.
Crashes.
Whatever. As long as I can walk away from it.
And you know, like David always says, Snarf is ready to beat him for some reason.
Don't you talk back to your elders. I will smack you upside your little head.
Oh, hush up, Snarfer. Take me to Lynx-O. Lion-O's in bad trouble.
And then we find that Lynx-O and Snarf and Snarfer are talking about what happened, and Lynx-O goes, get Bengali.
Right, get Bengali, let's go. Snarfer also makes this really badly formed joke about Snarf crashing the Thunderclaw that is honestly, it is the worst joke, the most malformed joke in the entire show, the entire series. I do not understand how it crossed Peter Lawrence's desk, how anyone thought this was like an actual joke. He says something like the protection of the Thunderclaw, maybe? It's not a punchline. It doesn't make any sense. It really took me out of it, and I don't know.
No, sir. You see, we Snarfs have strong wills. See, it takes something more than a mutant floodlight to confuse me.
Something like the protection of the Thunderclaw, maybe?
Oh, you. Let's hope you're right. Fetch Bengali.
Yes, Sir Lynx-O. You got it.
It looks as though it's going to be up to you two. Up to us, Lynx-O? Bengali will have to go in blind if he's to avoid the effect of the beam. So, you and Snarfer will act as our eyes.
This is when Snarf says that Snarfs have high, basically, willpower, right? And he didn't get under the rock's control. And Snarf is like, oh, it wasn't the thunder wing? So he's trying to say that it wasn't Snarf's will. It was the thunder strike's wing that bounced off the red beam, I think. But you're right, it's not really that great of a joke.
I just kind of was like, cheesy joke, and just didn't even pay it any attention at that point. It was just like a very wink, wink, nod, nod, ha, ha, weird.
But maybe on the planet of the Snarfs, that is like top tier comedy. Like that would be a roaring reaction of the crowd for that very moment. Yes, sirree, Bob.
We take off in the Thunderstrike. It's a really cool shot. We're like looking out the hangar of the Thunderstrike, and you see like the teeth of the cat's head that form the hangar. A lot of the next part of the episode all takes place in the clouds above Ravage Island. It's very like World War I, like
planes.
Yeah.
That Slive moment, though, I do love that he is now a tour director. Welcome to Ravage Island, with his little intercom that he's flying around the...
Mr. Rourke. Welcome to Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island.
Welcome to Ravage Island, Thunder losers. You are out of fuel and will nosedive to the ground. Now! You will nosedive now!
He calls them Thunder losers. Welcome to Ravage Island, Thunder losers.
Experience our buffet. The finest cuisine from Plunder.
Let's go together in the bright sunny weather. Let's all go to
Ravage Island.
Lots to see and to do there. All being out as you there. Let's all go to
Ravage Island.
We have to mention, though, that Lynx-O, of course, is going into this blind, but Bengali has to blindfold himself not to be taken, David.
Not the first time he's been blindfolded, to just say.
Oh my god. Not to be taken by the lights, as, you know, the lights of the Beacon of Ravage Island. And Bengali, though, sacrifices himself.
Yeah, it's like, I guess, once again, the Thunderstrike, like, the way it has the two pods in the center section, like, again, that's somehow a vulnerability, and it, like, slows it down to have them connected. So yeah, you're right. He breaks off and takes his blindfold off so that Lynx-O and Snarf can escape and find the sword.
And Slive is like, it's Bengali! And he's...
Take a dive, Bengali!
And he could see! And he could say, yeah. And then Bengali is like shocked. It looks like he's electrocuted with the red lights.
Blinded by the light.
So the braille board I wrote tells Lynx-O that the sword is lost or hiding.
Yeah, because they fly over the beacon. They're really high up. They fly over the whole thing. They see the cage, and yeah, the braille board tells Lynx-O that the sword isn't there. It must be somewhere else.
Thank you, braille board.
Mm-hmm.
The braille board tells me that the Sword of Omens is missing. Before we make our move, we must hide the sword.
Is the braille board its own entity as well? That's what I'm beginning to think. It's like the Sword of Omens at this point. It's like,
I think it's just like super radar, like it's a mixture of radar and I don't know.
Thank you, Vulture Man. Thank you, braille board. Thank you, Silence.
Thank you, Vulture Man. Thank you.
Little Alanis Morissette for you. We are a retro show.
Well, we are. We definitely are. On land as well, Mumm-Ra is by the cage still, looking upon this whole thing. And do we get this shot where Lion-O is kind of like, his legs are folded, and he's just kind of like sitting there, like touching the ground or something. He's kind of really defeated, playing around with dirt or something. He's just sitting on the ground, and the other ones are just kind of standing. But David was the one who alerted to me that we actually get another bungling
quote.
Mm-hmm. So there's a few things for me. That's one of them.
You are a worthless, bungling idiot, Sly.
Worthless bungling idiot is what Mumm-Ra calls.
Yeah, he says Mumm-Ra says there's nothing more tiring than organizing these mutants. He's like, there's nothing more tiring than having to go around this whole neighborhood and write down HOA violations by myself.
That's why he needs to hire the Berserkers again.
So is this where he says he's getting antsy because he's growing tired? He knows he has to go back to his pyramid, which, to Zack's point in the last episode, how
he's
he
growing
is
weak.
He's like, I gotta get this done. This has to be wrapped up.
What's keeping Slide? I am running out of time. I must return to my sarcophagus to rest.
It's the first time we've had this sort of ticking clock of Mumm-Ra needing to go back to the pyramid in a long time. It feels very season 1. The whole episode actually kind of feels very season 1, except that the characters are written more maturely. Yeah, it puts a time limit on how long they can hang out there, which is nice. It's like it adds some tension.
Yeah, because Mumm-Ra's like, Slide knows my limit, and he's pushing me over the time. Like he's like, this bastard.
When he's chastising Slide, it's really it's animated really well. He's really expressive. And then Slide and Vulture-Man are also. Vulture-Man is still up in the flying machine, and he has his chin in his hand, like he's just bored. He's just waiting for Slide. And Slide.
My favorite moment, Zack. My favorite moment of the episode.
Slide just throws his hands in the air and shrugs, like, what? I cannot please this mummy. What am I supposed to do? First, he does it to himself, and then he turns to Vulture-Man and does it again. Like, he looks up and he's like, what are we going to do?
I honestly... That moment alone made it worth it for the mutants to appear again, because it's one of those moments that it was so funny and self-aware that he was just like, yeah, what? I can't please, like Zack is saying, I can't please this mummy. It reminds me of when he was walking back to Castle Plunder that time and then he was run over. It's very like funny that just like he's just like, oh, I'm walking back, and then this happens. So funny. So
subtle. Like not even no dialogue. It's just an animation. His back is turned to us. It's good.
Thank you, Zack, for bringing that up. Now we see that Snarf, Snarfer, and Lynx-O are trying to get to the sword. Snarfer tries to grab it, and Snarf goes, "Oh, don't be offended, Snarfer. You know, it's
you're
very
new to
picky.
him. You're new to the sword. The sword, the sword knows me."
And he's giving it a nice affectionate rub before he tries to grab it. Snarf, he's like, "Me and the sword go back over a few years." But it won't release for him, and it then releases for Lynx-O. So is it because Snarf was being arrogant in a way, and the sword was like, "Oh, I'll show you, Snarf"?
Because Snarf has wielded the Sword of Omens in a way when
countless
he's
times,
and it's been shooting out.
Well, he does say, right, it will work for those he has a relationship with.
But maybe, for me, I thought maybe because Lynx-O has a history with the sword, he's older, it's like a respect thing.
The Sword of Omens is a very special item, you know, Snarfer. It only responds to people it respects. Well, don't take it hard. You just haven't been around long enough.
Okay, Uncle Snarf.
Sword of Omens, come free!
Perhaps I might.
It's stuck, Lynx-O. There's nothing you can do.
Come on, no time to lose. We have to neutralize that beacon somehow.
And Lynx-O has a plan of what he's going to do with the Sword of Omen.
Oh, yes.
He's not just pulling it out of the stone, the sword and the stone thing. He has an idea of what needs to be done with the Sword of Omens to get to the next part.
Yeah, the sword knows that it'll be safer with him, too.
And there's another thing you didn't mention when they're flying around, unless this is later on, when Vulture-Man is flying erratically. Slide is like, stop, and Vulture-Man is like, says his funny line.
Which I don't know, what
you don't remember the line? Okay, so they're flying around and Slide is like, you're moving around too much, like, please, and
oh, yes. He says, if you don't like
if you can't stand the flying...
Oh, yeah, you can't stand
don't join the Air Force.
And he's like, another banter moment, like, they're just so comfortable with each other.
But the Air Force, yes, that took me out for a minute, because I'm like, that's a very modern...
sort of American thing to say.
Yeah, kind of like, like a example to use. I mean, I get it, but...
But it's funny, you're right. The way it's animated too, he's doing like a barrel roll or something, and Slide is like, whoa! He's flailing around in his chair.
They really made an impression, the mutants, coming back after all this time. So then we do get that little cute scene where Snarf is looking, what does he say? Starboard side, Snarfer? Is that he's like some kind of side or something, and Snarf goes to the wrong window, and then Snarfer is like, no, that's the wrong side. Yeah. Anyway, Lynx-O and the gang see the Thundercats in the cage, the glowing cage, and Lynx-O says, Sword of Omens, go to the Lord, free the Lord of the Thundercats?
Yes.
Love that.
And he throws the sword, right? Is it does he throw
the sword? And the sword blows up the beacon.
And then you get Mumm-Ra, who's like, they've been under my mind control for too long. You might have destroyed the light, but they are still mine. See, look over there. The cage, it's still over there. They're still in that cage.
You're right. In their eyes, they still see that cage, and they still see Mumm-Ra, the ever.
And he's like, oh, I beat you. Haha. Just because you threw the sword don't mean nothing.
See, even though Lynx-O has destroyed the Beacon of Ravage Island, this cage still exists. Your very eyes will betray you. Yeah! You are still the mind slaves of Mumm-Ra, the ever-living.
We'll see about that, Mumm-Ra. Sword of Omens, come to my hand.
It's a really nice, like, you think, like, oh no, now what's going to happen? Like, it feels like stakes just got higher, but then it's very quickly just dispelled because Lynx-O calls the sword and hose the cage away.
Clearing the eyes.
He slaps the hose away, yeah.
He slaps the hose, and then we have this monologue where Mumm-Ra's like, I know the Beacon of Ravage Island, and I will come back for its secrets, and yada yada yada.
Time has run out on me, but we must return to the Black Pyramid. The secrets of the Beacon of Ravage Island are still mine, ThunderCats. I will return, and you will be my mind slaves forever.
But then Panthro goes back home and instantly creates glasses for the next time, which is so smart.
Yeah, this is the one time the writers actually thought about like, Mumm-Ra could do that again. We should devise something to prevent it from being a danger.
But don't you feel like, and I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole too much. Well, not really a rabbit hole, but like Mumm-Ra has ever-living life, so he can come back to these things. But the book, for example, the book was set on fire. The island, the Sword of Omens destroyed this metal thing where the crystals were held. This lighthouse thing. So like, is Mumm-Ra saying that he'll come back and do the repair work and this will happen again, or what? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, once it's spent, it's spent. Once the talisman is shattered, does it automatically come back? Like every 1,000 years, the talisman will reform, like that kind of thing, because like that ship has sailed.
Well, I think it's like, in season 1, you could ask like, why didn't they just plaster everything all their stuff in mirrors?
Mirrors, yes.
I mean, when I was a kid, when I was a kid, we moved into a new place, and my mom was looking, like, hanging stuff up, and she said, "Where should we put this mirror?" And I said, "Oh, right by the door, because if Mumm-Ra shows up."
Oh,
I was like 5 years old.
I love this.
So, like, this, I think he could gather those crystals again and use them again. The crystals are what have the power, not just the beacon and like the globe that projects it. But yeah, Panthro making these classes is a smart move.
Love this. I love the wrap up, and I love the moment of this episode with Slide. So if he doesn't return for a long time from now, I still am gonna live forever in that Slide shrugging his shoulders bit.
Yeah, like I said, I think this really is peak Mutants. We don't get this level of characterization and banter and just fun, like stupid villain fun from the Mutants again, ever, I don't think.
Like a lot of fun.
I still love my
"You are worthless, bungling idiot Slide." That will be added to our...
Still bungling after all these years.
Zach, do you have some little trivia or any little...
I have a few, yeah. I noticed that Monkeyin's goggles are different from everyone else's goggles. He chose his own style off the shelf. When the other Thundercats see the red light and take off, Panthro and Cheetara are both in the hovercat, which is weird because the hovercat's only supposed to carry one person, so they're really cramming in there. But then when they land, it's like an animation mistake that it's only Cheetara landing it. It's like Panthro isn't there anymore. I thought it was interesting, and maybe it's connected to Lion-O's willpower, that when they're first in the cage and he does the catchphrase and hose, the signal doesn't emerge from the sword.
Yes.
It's one of the few times where he does the whole catchphrase, but then there's no Thundercat signal. Oh, I thought that in that same scene, Lion-O says, "You'll never have the Sword of Omens as long as I have breath in my body." And Mumm-Ra replies with, in that case, the sword will soon be mine. And it reminded me of the sort of like, it reminded me of a line in Exodus when young Lion-O says, "You shall not have it while I live." And Slide says, "That would suit me just fine." It's this like subversive or like, really dark dialogue that's implying that I'm going to kill you, but without saying it out loud.
You shall be mine.
It reminded me of the Wizard of Oz when the witch says the slippers are coming off. She turns over the what do you call it? The timer. The
sand.
That's the hourglass, and she's like, "You'll be dead soon, and I'll get those slippers off then."
You know what? It's always a countdown. There's always a countdown. There's always some time that you got before you do these things. But we have one more thing to do, of course, today. And that is, who is our biggest bungler?
You are a worthless, bungling idiots! Bunglers! You bungler! Once again, you have failed. You bungled it!
Okay, so out of the 2 episodes, Together we stand. Anyone having a breakthrough about this, Bungler? Because...
the Berserkers.
You're going Berserkers.
Because they already showed their hand. They already said that our armor is filled with Thundrainium, which gave them the heads up, which even the Thundercats could have backed up and stayed away from it. 1, 2, rubbed it off. So to me, you showed your hand.
I'm going Mumm-Ra because I don't think there was enough follow through with his whole plan as per usual.
My second thing was Mumm-Ra didn't, like Zack had said earlier in the episode, he didn't infuse their armor. He just sprinkled it with a coating. I would have infused. It would have been infused, and it would have never come out. So,
like the Groon's mace. Forged out of Thundrainium.
I'm with Ryan on this one. I think Mumm-Ra, for the lack of follow through. Like if your goal is to take down these 2 fortresses, you could lend a hand. Like once they're empty, you could show up and either destroy them or take David's suggestion and sprinkle some Thundrainium in every little nook and cranny.
The orifices.
I also think, I know that the Tower of Omens there wasn't an opportunity for the tower to even, like, all the action took place outside of the tower. But I think the fact that the tower is defenseless is kind of a bungle, and you can really blame Tigra for this one. He designed this place and built it, or I guess the Burbles built it. He designed it with no defenses, and so it really does fall easily, and it happens in multiple episodes. It happened in Catfight, where Chilbo just throws the whole thing. It happens in future episodes. It falls first and easily, and I think that's Tiger's fault. But it's not. I guess this episode isn't really a good example of that.
And then we have Ravage Island. Ooh, Honestly, I'm having a hard time with this one because the Mutants pretty much did what they had to do. I mean, yeah, maybe joyrides by Vulture-Man and things like that. And I guess Mumm-Ra at a default but he's smart. He made the glasses. He had that all prepared. I guess the only thing would be like saying again, I'm not done with Ravage Island, so they could be prepared next time. Had he not said that, I don't know if Panthro would have immediately made the glasses, but maybe. What do you guys think?
I'm going to agree with Mumm-Ra and say that it's Slithe being a worthless, bungling idiot. Bengali was going to fall prey to the beacon no matter what.
Yes.
So it makes more sense to pursue Lynx-O and Snarf and take them down before they have a chance to find the sword. So I agree with Mumm-Ra. Like, Vultureman and Slide bungled this one.
And David?
Okay, so my take is Mumm-Ra for a few reasons. He should have taken out Lynx-O and the Snarfs before this whole plan started. This should have been the first part of the plan.
Oh, yeah.
And secondly, Mumm-Ra for grandstanding, because like we've talked about in the movie Van Helsing, when the vampire, I can't think of the name, is trying to kill, she's like, if you're going to kill somebody, just do it. Don't talk about it. Like, as soon as they were in the cage, I would have been, I mean, obviously the show would have ended then at that point, but like, if this was real life, I would have already killed them in the cage. I would have made the cage collapse on them or whatever. Even if you didn't want to do it, get your hands dirty, then I would have just grabbed the sword and took off. It would have been a 1, 2, 3 instead of waiting, because it's like this whole, like, I've got you now, and now you're going to be a prisoner forever, and ha ha ha. Like, Mumm-Ra always grandstands. So, first of all, Lynx-O and the Snarf should have been taken out initially. Then there would have been nobody that would have been able to do anything about it. And then I would have just, if you're going to do it, get rid of the Lynx-O already and get the sword. Be done with it. Because you're running out of time, because you need to go back to your sarcophagus.
But typical Mumm-Ra, he's going to discount the people who seem weak to him. So he's not.
He's the head bungler.
He's the head bungler. Honestly, I'm so glad that Zack was here for these 2 episodes, because we get that. It's so funny because we always find another thing to pick up on, or even another joke that just comes out of
insight and true love.
Of course, the insight and the love of ThunderCats, but then even the jokes that we could play on each other. It's just so fantastic. So I'm so glad that the Bunglers have been enjoying Zack. I mean, as of now, Zack doesn't have any episodes planned out for the future, but we have a whole length to go of upcoming
episodes. I have time.
Yes,
Zack.
we have time.
Yeah, I don't have to run back to my sarcophagus, so if you want me back, just give me a call.
And I'm sure there's going to be upcoming episodes that definitely would call for his knowledge and passion. So
yeah, just put on the red light and I'll be there.
Well, let's grab our goggles and get ready for the next time, because you could always find David at Universal Appeal 2020, all one word, and the Radical Retro Rewind podcast, one word, on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and beyond. Of course, we also have our ThunderCats only page on Instagram, which is ThunderCats Reviews 1985. It's not the main radical thing, but I try to put some ThunderCats.
Is there pictures of the ThunderCats?
They're just in toy form, possibly. And beyond. Zack, thank you so much again for being here with us.
Thank you, guys. I always have so much fun. I can't wait for the next time.
We're gonna have to look at those episodes, the sheets of the upcomings. So I guess, as always, ThunderCats ho!
Ho?
No, no, you didn't just call me a hoe.
We called you Santa Claus.
You a ho.
For the ThunderCat, bye.
Welcome to Ravage Island.
Let's go together in the bright sunny weather.
Let's all go to
Ravage Island.
Lots to see and to do there. All being out as you there.
Let's all go to
Ravage Island.
Let kids hurry up. Don't miss the good things that we've planned. So come and let's play together in the bright sunny weather. Let's all go to
Ravage Island. Ravage Island. Ravage Island. And we take these glasses off now?